There are stories that no book can teach you, and this is one of them. But to explain what you'll see today, we require the most precious source of all sources of information.
Eccola l'amore!
Nonna, come stai?
Come vai?
But this story requires a little background. Last year, we casually discovered about an old tradition which takes place in various parts of Italy around Easter time, and this tradition is called Sepolcri. For some reason, I thought Nonna knew about it, and I wasn't wrong. When I asked her about the Sepolcri, she lit up. She told me of course she knew. That was one of the most exciting times of the year for her as a child. And she started to explain how everything worked.
La terra, hai messo la terra, poi te con le lenticchie ricopri la terra lievemente, no ammucchiata la tenda, capito? Poi la ricopri con la terra.
This little pot is the preparation for Holy Thursday, the last Thursday before Easter. This is not just about religion, but this is something that goes beyond that. It is a popular tradition. It is part of Nonna's best childhood memories. And so I want to do this and see what it feels like. But in order for this story to make sense, first you need to know what's the meaning behind this tradition. Holy Thursday is the day when Jesus had the Last Supper, which is when he distributed the bread and wine as his body and blood and asked the apostles to do the same in his memory after his death. And that's how he established the sacrament of the Eucharist. Today, on Holy Thursday, the bread, the Eucharist, is placed on an altar and adored to celebrate the institution of this sacrament. And the altar where the Eucharist is decorated with flowers. And that is the official liturgy. But the popular tradition added something to that.
Sta al buio e diventa bianco, e lo devi innaffiare ogni 3-4 giorni, pure di meno.
Ok.
As our little lentil plant grew, I kept picturing the little face of Nonna as the little girl born in the 1930s taking care of her little vase every day. The plant is growing, and in the meantime I had to think of which church to bring my pot. And right away I thought of one of my favorites, Santa Cecilia in Trastevere. But first let's see how our lentil plant turned out.
How did it come out?
I think it's good.
It's right, and it goes down as Nonna said.
Why?
So let's make it trickier. What do you think?
That's good. Really good.
Let's go.
This unwritten tradition says that you should visit the sepulchre of 7 churches. That's why there's so many people in the streets tonight. And our first stop tonight is Santa Cecilia in Trastevere.
Wow.
You got to your destination. People are looking like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
You're supposed to have one as well. I need to do the hairstyle of the plant. Because while I was preparing this, we come here to do the tours very often. So every time I was telling the nun, my plant is growing well, it's growing well. So now she has a very high expectation of my plant. How beautiful it is. On Good Thursday, so today, on Thursday, before Easter, we say andiamo a fare i sepolcri, which means literally translates let's go and do the sepulchre. It means that we go in a church, to be exact in 7 churches, to go and visit the altar where the Eucharisty is. The popular tradition wants that you bring a plant like this, and the nuns or the priest or whoever is going to be in the church, they're going to put it around the altar where the Eucharisty is. Now, this is the very first time we are actually doing this, so let's go and see how it works. I'm very curious.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very much. It's it's something that I always heard about, and now I'm experiencing it for the first time. I come here to this church for the doors almost every day, and it's weird to see the altar over there totally dark, because this is happening not on the main altar, but in a side altar. So the light is only on that altar. So let's go.
Non dobbiamo.
In Santa Cecilia, the altar of the sepulchre was set in this chapel, behind that grid. The nuns were in adoration behind the grid, and the rest of the people were outside. So we didn't really feel this was an appropriate situation to go in and handle our plant. But most of all, we couldn't see any other plant like ours.
I don't see any plant like mine, so I don't know. I feel maybe we should bring this to another church.
Yeah, there are many churches around. Let's go.
This is our next attempt, San Francesco a Riva. Let's know that we're preparing an altar, but let's see
I
if they
think-
take this plant.
I feel this will be.
You think so? I'm starting to
No,
think
oh my
that
God.
I'm the only one that prepared the plant tonight. We didn't leave this plant here either because they're doing a mass, so it felt a little weird to go there and put this plant.
Yes.
So now we're gonna try another church, which apparently it's really good for the sepolcri. It's not too far from Campo dei Fiori.
Great.
Let's get
go.
on the bike.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I felt a little disappointed because I started to realize that this tradition was maybe not a thing anymore. And I did this for grandma. She was so happy to hear I was doing this, so it felt sad too.
Now is gonna be the time.
Here we are again. So
One more
let's see.
shot.
The church of Trinità, Santissima Trinità dei Pellegrini.
Yeah. Now they are restructuring
Apparently-
it.
Yeah, it's under reconstruction. And apparently this is one of the best churches for the sepolcri. First of all, let's see if someone makes the plant like me, because I started to have the feeling that I'm really the only one in Rome that makes it.
Really, the tradition nobody knows about.
Okay, we didn't leave our plant here either, but this sepulchre was incredible. We entered the church and it was pitch black, except for this altar that was only lit by candles. The silence was so pure, and the darkness around us, it felt so comforting and beautiful and pleasant. We were so drawn by this little place that we didn't want to leave. But we still had to complete our mission, and so we had to move on.
This was the best sepolcri ever so far. I don't see any other plants like mine, so I don't want to leave it in a place where it's only mine and then it makes no sense. So
Let's try the other one in Trastevere.
Santa Maria in Trastevere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try that one.
Okay, let's try that one. That's a very popular church, so could be that people from Trastevere make this plant. So let's go and try.
Yeah.
I'm starting to lose the hopes. Let's see.
But when we arrived in Santa Maria in Trastevere, the guardian told us it was too late. It was 10 to midnight and the church was about to close. So I explained them about the plant, about Nonna, and that I couldn't find a church where to leave it, and that I didn't want to bring it back home. And these guys were so kind to let us inside just the time necessary to leave our plant. The staff inside was turning off all the candles. Nobody else was there, and the atmosphere was so special. And so I asked this lady if I could leave the plant somewhere. And she said, yes, of course, give it to me. And she took it for me. Finally, a little plant found its place, and the moment it joined the others on the altar, I understood. I could see why Nonna felt so excited about this. It was beautiful. The candlelight made the plant so bright, and I was so proud of it, just as she would be. And so I wondered, what if I never asked her about this? How many stories like this we might lose if we don't listen to them while we still have the time?